Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 453rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, October 6th, 2022. This is the broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. And once again, we have the pleasure of the company of Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And I believe he's ready to go to deliver today's workshop. Go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation, KFSI Knowledge Seekers programs. We welcome you back, and in a way, we welcome you back with open arms, and hopefully sooner or later we'll learn more and more. Maybe these teachings will go on the soul level, that we don't need to have a laptop or an iPhone or a mobile phone or a computer to listen to. It's the time I wish to open my soul to teach, and you listen through your soul, doesn't matter where you are. The limitation of time and space will be out of the window. And in so many ways, mankind will become aware of a new way of communication in how he decides to communicate. Would the silence be part of this communication when my soul does not want to teach? Or would it be the time when you can come and take from the soul at any time? Does not matter, that it doesn't have to be a Thursday, 10 o'clock teaching point. I remember when we opened the KFSI first groups, we had a bunch of people with us, 6, 7 of them, and one of the knowledge seekers came to me and said, "You have to give everything to us. Whatever is in your head is ours. It belongs to us. We own it." And I said, "What?" And I was accused of not giving everything I know. If I would have given him the information there and then, he would have committed suicide, because the knowledge was so deep that this little boy could not even imagine the knowledge exists to this depth. But now you can tap into the knowledge through understanding of it, but it has to be your will to be able to do it, to receive it and use it correctly. And my wish that whoever uses it through the soul will receive it. It's not by deception, coming, taking, and then running and doing whatever we've seen done by knowledge seekers. Maybe we become to understand more about our own behavior than anything else. Maybe we become aware of our weaknesses, aware of our strengths, where we are a strong man, where we reach to touch the knowledge. Which knowledge? I want to know about the knowledge of this planet in this part of the universe. And then I assess if I like to go there, and if the soul of the planet accepts my soul. The situation and the travel of the man will change, and it has to be changed. In the flight zones, experiments, in the past 2 days, even though I was so sick, I kept the whole thing to be done because there's a time schedule on it. We realized beautiful things. We achieved, unbelievable to be achieved. But in a way, we didn't achieve. We just confirmed that our knowledge setting up was correct. We have entered the final phase of physical transmutation. We have seen what to be expected of What happened when the soul of the man leaves the physicality and we are left with a body? We had to experience this yesterday, where the body is cold and the physicality is just skin and bone in the flight system. Where we saw the transition through the phase of the physicality trying to reach to the other side. The whole transmutation has taken a new dimension. The whole transportation has taken a new dimension. We brought in 4 people on Tuesday, and we brought in a new way of transmutation. Not a new way, in a way that we have tested enough our systems. Now it's your turn to test your strength, your willingness, your wish to move. We put in 2 couples in the system. And we had at the same time, as I said to you last week, a brother and a sister as part of the couple. The experience was thrilling. The learning, confirmation of how precise our systems have been set was a joy. But what would happen to our next generation? What will happen to the next generation of the systems which are coming in a few weeks' time? What happens when we bring this into what I call open spaces of use? In the first trial, we tried to understand more. We allowed the combination of the four to sit, put anywhere, go anywhere, do anything they like in the 4 seats of the space system. We switched on the systems except one part for the full physical transmutation. The reason being is our second system is not set for return. If we had to bring them back, what we do if they cannot come back because the system is locked, doesn't have the facility for return from one system to another, but you can go from one system from left to right, but you cannot come back to the right. And what happens if the things don't go according to the plan? We realized one thing, and that was that whatever we set up in our systems, in the 2 flight simulations, is exactly how it should be, how we will perform. And when we detach the gravitational field of the Earth from it, we will see that the system will complete itself. We detach the system from its link to the Earth, and we saw how we stopped. We did a lot of other things with it. But what was interesting goes back to the ethos of the teaching, where we always said, my wish is my command. My decision to do is my command, which meant we withdrew part of the system. We allowed the 4 knowledge seekers to make a decision to travel. This is what you will do in space. We cannot put you in and beam me and Scotty. You have to have a desire to go and beam yourself up through your soul. The outcome was very interesting, where the ones on the right could move the solar energy to the one on the left. If you look at it from inside, or what we call the left side to the right side, and the partners on the other side could feel the energy, could feel the emotion, could grasp the incoming energy as the partner. What was interesting for us was that the partners feel each other touch. The partners feel each other's emotion as one has arrived. The partners feel the other partner to be on the lap, and they could hug each other. At the same time, sitting these people, not as before we make a decision, it was done by their own decision. Choose a chair where you're happy. Choose a position where you feel comfortable in the system. And try to transmute. The interesting part is the other partner on the system 2, knowing the system is one directional, could feel the emotion of the arrival, but not the physicality. This is part of the system we are not ready to, because at the moment, this direction is a no-go. If we send them, something goes wrong, we can't bring them back. Or we can partially connection to here, but we get everything back. I'll let you listen to a couple of this 4-person group, and listen to them. It was recorded after the, what we call, the session. This was about 3-4 hour session. Flight systems are very time consuming. It's not something that you can go and do. And we see a beautiful German couple, and the brother and his wife had to go urgent somewhere else. They'll most probably participate in the next, what we call, discussion. Listen to it and just understand the feeling of it. Then, in this process, there is a surprise at the end, where they're asked a question about their family. Then you understand how advanced the technology is, if you understand what it means, the implication and application of it. Rick, go ahead and play this, and then we come back.
Letzte Mal waren wir hier im Sommer, heuer im Sommer. Da war das Erlebnis so, dass wir gedanklich gereist sind. Ich habe gedanklich meine 3 Mitreisenden mitgenommen. Wir sind durchs Sternensystem gereist, zum Andromeda-Nebel. Wir haben grüne, freundliche Wesen aus dem All getroffen. Es war sehr, sehr lustig und ich war sehr erfreut danach oder sehr aufgeregt. Vorher war ich müde und ich war ein bisschen grummelig und danach war ich sehr glücklich, kann man sagen. Heute war das so, wir waren wieder zu viert drinnen. Und wir haben versucht, von der Unit 1 in die Unit 2 zu reisen, diese Transmutation. Und für mich hat es sich so angefühlt, ich war einmal auf der Seite, auf der Receiving-Seite, also da, wo man ankommt, empfängt, und einmal auf der Seite, wo man aussendet, die linke Seite. Zuerst war ich in der empfangenden Seite und auf dieser Seite da hat die Cordula probiert, zu mir zu kommen. Da habe ich empfunden, mir sind ein paar Tränen runtergelaufen, ich war aber nicht traurig, sondern es ist einfach nur so eher ein glückliches Tränenlaufen gewesen. Ich habe empfunden, dass sie rüberkommen möchte. Ich habe auch schon so an meinem Körper oder in meinem Feld empfunden, da ist etwas oder ein Teil von ihr, aber physischen Kontakt hat es noch nicht gegeben. Dann war ich auf der anderen Seite, dann war ich auf dieser Seite, die sozusagen rüber fliegt oder fliegen will, transmutieren will. Und auf dieser Seite hat es mir meinen Körper komplett nach links gezogen, also zu dieser Unit, wo man hinfliegt. Es war vom Gefühl her, als würde sich der Körper so dehnen und rüberziehen. Mein Kopf hat es mir auch rübergezogen. Und als ich ausgestiegen bin, war ich schummrig und schwindlig. Also ich war noch nicht ganz wieder da. Also empfunden war es so, als würde ein Teil von mir schon versuchen zu reisen, aber ein anderer Teil noch da fest am Boden verankert sein. Und der Herr Kesche hat dann danach erklärt, nächstes Mal, wenn wir das System benutzen, Sie wissen jetzt den Grund, warum wir nicht gereist sind, weil das System mit der Erde anscheinend verbunden ist und das war das, was uns zurückgehalten hat. Aber sonst mit den Sinnen waren wir quasi schon auf der anderen Seite. Das war mein Empfinden.
Okay. So. Ich bin die Cordula. Wir waren eben im Sommer gemeinsam hier. Die erste Erfahrung für mich war sehr aufregend, ganz neu. Was man eigentlich da erleben kann, ist was ganz Besonderes. So spontan weiß ich gar nicht mehr genau, was ich alles da wahrgenommen habe. Daher schwenke direkt zum heutigen Tag. Und da haben wir eben an dieser Transmutation teilgenommen oder diese machen wollen zumindest. Ich war eben zuerst in der Sender-Unit und wollte eben in die Empfänger-Unit reisen. Gewünscht mit dem physischen Körper. Das ist eben nicht eingetreten, aber es waren sehr viele andere Eindrücke zu erleben, dass die anderen Körper, sage ich einmal, wie Emotionalkörper und wie die alle heißen, die sind, glaube ich, rübergereist, also ich konnte das wahrnehmen. Wir haben uns umarmt, wie ich dann dort war. Und mein Körper eben hat sich so ganz auf die linke Seite geneigt, eben zu dieser Unit hin, wo ich hinreisen wollte. Und mir ist es so vorgekommen, als würde meine linke Körperhälfte seitlich sich so öffnen, dass sie wirklich der Körper rüberkommt. Also es hat sich so angefühlt, als wäre das so eine Vorstufe für meinen Körper gewesen. Jo. Dann haben wir eben Plätze getauscht und die Christine wollte zu mir reisen und da habe ich dann auch wahrgenommen, dass ihre nicht physischen Körper anscheinend doch da waren, weil sie ist auf meinen Beinen gesessen und wir haben uns beide sehr gefreut, dass das so funktioniert hat, obwohl jetzt der Körper hinten geblieben ist, sagen wir mal so. Ja, freue mich auf weitere Erfahrungen und bin sehr zufrieden mit dem, was ich heute erlebt habe. Danke.
Dankeschön. Obviously, I don't know. I can tell by the emotions and the big smiles and everything that something very magical and beautiful has happened. Thank you for sharing that experience. Is there anything that you would like to speak about together? to open it up a little bit further.
Vielen Dank für Ihr Besuch und Teilnahme.
Was
Und
wir
wenn Sie uns etwas darüber erzählen möchten.
Ja. Was wir gemeinsam erlebt haben.
Would you like to speak as a couple together, to have a little conversation so we open up how you felt inside together as you know?
Yes, but there is. Are you recording?
Yes.
There's something very strange in this couple. She would not speak English for the past times that here. She knew no English, and now she speaks better than the other one. She just become English fluent. Yeah.
So this has happened that you now are fluent, really. From this is taking position that you actually now can speak fairly good English.
Yeah, it's me.
It's you, yeah. And you could not before.
Ich antworte trotzdem auf Deutsch, okay?
Ja.
Yeah, of course.
Es ist so, dass ich grundsätzlich gut verstehe, was jemand anders in Englisch spricht, aber meine Ängste, dass ich irgendetwas falsch sage, grammatikalisch den Satz falsch zusammenstelle in Englisch, das hat mich einfach sehr blockiert und drinnen habe ich mir dann gedacht, ja, ich sag's einfach, macht ja nichts, wenn die Satzstellung nicht passt und dann ist das aber irgendwie so, hat das toll funktioniert, wo diese Angst gegangen ist.
Und man muss sagen, wir hatten die Tage davor, hatten wir das Gespräch schon zu Hause, wie sehr einen Ängste hemmen, etwas zu tun.
Ja,
Das war das Thema.
sehr einschränken.
Also die Angst ist wie eine Handbremse, dass du dann nicht das tust, was du eigentlich tun willst, weil du Angst hast und hinten bleibst. Und das war vor ein paar Tagen Thema, ich glaube sogar vorige Woche oder so.
Ja.
Und das Interessante war, jetzt in dem Feld drinnen hat sie das quasi bei der Sprache
Ja, es hat sich gelöst.
Danke. In one moment, I'm going to be able to speak German too. In this moment, I don't. So again, it's the emotion, and that's very interesting that Mr. Kess said that you now are starting to sense and speak some English. So for someone like myself who'd like to speak German, that's obviously a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for being present. Is there anything else you would like to say finally before we move this conversation?
My brother and his wife were with us in the unit. Okay, I'm switching. Mein Bruder und seine Frau waren mit drinnen und ich habe starke Verbindung zu meinem Bruder. Und wir haben dann einmal probiert, mein Bruder ist hinten gesessen in der gebenden Unit und seine Frau vorne in der gebenden. Und du bist hinten gesessen in der empfangenden und ich vorne in der empfangenden. Also ich habe sozusagen von meiner Schwägerin rüber empfangen und der Mr. Keshe hat gesagt, sie soll doch was senden. Und ich hatte wirklich, mir sind wieder die Tränen runtergelaufen und die zwei haben 3 Kinder. Und ich hatte das Bild von den Kindern und also meine Schwägerin wollte mir Liebe rüberschicken, hat sie getan, ist sehr stark angekommen und war irgendwie so gekoppelt an die Kinder. Das hat sie aber nicht gesagt, ich habe es so ausgedrückt und sie hat gesagt, ja, ich habe an die Kinder gedacht, weil das unser Verbindungsstück noch dazu ist, die Kleinen von den beiden. Das muss man sagen.
Genau.
Was hast du vom Bernie empfangen?
Von Bernie.
Also Aufgehetztheit, glaube ich.
Ah ja, ich weiß nicht, aber ob die von ihm war. Also, ihr Bruder ist sehr, wie soll ich sagen, innerlich unruhig und es läuft ihm, glaube ich, 10 Tonspuren parallel im Gehirn ab. Und ich habe das wahrgenommen. Ich wusste jetzt nicht sicher, ob es von ihm ist, aber in mir drinnen habe ich halt dieses Stresslevel gespürt und musste dann körperliche Bewegungen durchführen, um das wieder auszugleichen.
Also was man sagen kann, ist, es kommt Emotion rüber.
Ja,
Es kommt da auch ein Gefühl von Kälte, haben wir einmal empfunden,
genau.
und Wärme.
Geschmäcker, hat er
Geschmäcker,
gesagt.
Emotionen, Geschmäcker und ja.
Also eigentlich eine sehr breite Palette aus meiner Sicht. Eigentlich alles, kann man
Bis
sagen,
auf den
bis
Körper.
auf die Physis.
Ja. Also alle Ebenen, soweit man es halt
Ja,
versteht als Mensch,
genau.
kommen rüber bis auf den Körper und das machen wir beim nächsten Mal.
Dankeschön. When the translations come, when they show, then I will get to understand what you've said. I sense the emotion, and I thank you very much for being present. Wonderful, and I can see that golden, wonderful,
Glimmer. Shine.
beautiful shine in your faces. And thank you so much for sharing all your experiences with humanity. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kesh is now going to ask a question.
As you were with your brother and his partner, the first two couples, brothers and sisters with your partners, can you explain how you felt when you wanted to go from the unit on the left to the right? Can you explain that emotionally? That, you know, you all said you turned to the left as you were going to the other unit physically.
Emotionally.
How did they feel as you explained that your body is moving physically to the other side, getting stretched?
This was the first question, we explained it, but emotionally, what did I feel? Was habe ich gefühlt? Ich hatte den Wunsch, den großen Wunsch, rüber zu reisen. Desire, it was a big desire to move.
But was it the degree of fear that you might leave something behind? That was one of the was that one of the concerns?
I think I don't feel fear, but I felt it from her.
That she was worried if she goes, something will be left
There was
behind.
a part, which was a little part,
The same with your brother. He had the same feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
You decided part of the test yourselves in what you choose, items you choose to give or emotions you give, and the desire to move across. How much of this desire would there be for you to go back to where you were? For example, if you move from a unit to the left side to the right side, how much is the desire to go back to see what you left behind? Is it the same? Have you ever thought about that? Because the same chance you have to go from the right to left, then you can choose next time to go from the left to right and see what memories you left behind in the other one.
Ah, okay. This is new for us.
This
We
is
didn't think
something when
about
you
it.
come next time with it. This is important. We want to see if you still remember the emotion on the right, and then going back to the left where you started is the same emotion you carry back with you. Because you're the only one who can explain to us what was the transition back and forth. Yeah?
So back, we don't think about it, about back, because there was no option.
Yeah.
But from left to right, I can say from my point of view, it was really a strong desire to get over there.
Together with there.
Yeah.
And you could
Really
feel
strong.
it physically going as well in a way.
Yes.
Yeah. Something I wanted to ask you. During the tests, we asked you to wish something for your parents. Yes? And what was the outcome of that? Because we know the answer, but what was the emotion you sent to your mom and dad with your brother and everything?
Das in Deutsch.
Yeah.
German.
I speak in
I have to explain.
Yeah.
The four of them are in the machine and the parents outside shopping because they're here. So the parents didn't know what they'd been sent to and what it was. So if you explain to us, and then I'll go back.
Also für meine Eltern, meiner Mutter habe ich eine Nachricht zukommen lassen, dass sie auf sich selbst Acht geben soll. Den genauen Wortlaut weiß ich jetzt nicht mehr, aber sinngemäß war es, glaube ich, das. Und als wir ihr das dann erzählt haben, war es eben der Fall, dass sie in dieser Zeit scheinbar für ganz alleine nur sie spazieren war.
Das kann man so
Findet man parallel. Ich glaube auch, die Botschaft ist angekommen. Für meinen Vater war dann die Aufgabe, ein Objekt ihm zu geben, und das war eine Fahne von Fußballverein, den wir immer gemeinsam besucht haben. Er hat darauf, wie ich dann angesprochen habe, hat er nicht wirklich was gewusst, aber sie sind dann draufgekommen, dass sie sich ja anscheinend in der Zeit irgendwo verfahren haben, was auch eher selten ist bei meinem Vater. Ja, da war es jetzt nicht so, aber bei meiner Mutter ist die Botschaft, glaube ich, auf jeden Fall angekommen.
And about your mother?
Das kann ich auch bestätigen. Ich habe meiner Mama gewünscht im Feld Be Yourself. Ich dachte Englisch im Feld, weil wir ja ständig Englisch sprechen. Und sie hat mir dann, bevor ich ihr gesagt habe, was die Botschaft für sie war, gesagt, sie hat sich seit langem nicht mehr ruhig gefühlt und
Nicht so innerlich aufgehetzt, hat
sie hatte
gesagt,
keine innerliche Unruhe. Ja. Sie war ruhig und sie hat sich gut gefühlt. Man kann fast sagen, glücklich. Und sie hat auch so gewirkt, als ich sie gesagt habe. Und darauf habe ich gesagt, be yourself. Und in Wahrheit denke ich, dass das Innere vom Menschen genau dieses ruhige, sanfte Wesen ist, was wir alle in uns tragen.
So, in a way, you could communicate your emotions to your mothers, both of you. You had that feeling that you didn't need to, they could feel it.
Yes.
Ja.
What would be interesting when you go home, try to see if you can decide tonight to see your mother in your dream, or send her a message in your dream, and tomorrow morning ask, Mom, did you get such a message?
Okay.
Because now you have that capability. You have opened that door of extension. But it'll be nice to see when you come back next time how many people you can do this with.
Okay.
That you learn, you speak in one way, but you can communicate through your soul or extension of the feelings. You don't need to ask anymore because the soul does the question and the asking. Thank you very much for coming. It was an interesting trial. I have to say these are the first 4 couples which we allowed to go through the full transition without the support of the last stage of physical to see how they do it. And we've seen them physically trying to move from one unit to another. They explain the emotion. But with the next unit, you can fully jump from one to the other in each other's lap without any worries.
Okay,
you
we're
very
excited. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you both.
Thank you.
As we heard in the last part, they could transfer now emotion to the mother, but they could not transfer the physical flag to the father. Interesting part was we heard about the brother and we gave him instruction, share something with all other 3. You got to realize these 4 are very close to each other. They know each other inside out, more or less. They've been with each other for 15, 20 years, even as partners. And his wish or his thought was he was hungry, he wants food. We didn't ask him what he was wish. We asked the other 3, what did they receive from him? All 3 women said hunger. Hunger, he's hungry, he wants food, we want food. And we asked him, what was your wish? That's what he said. He was hungry, he wanted food. Apparently he eats 24 hours and he's as slim as a pencil. And the other part was that you hear both of them that they lean to the left side, which is the other system they want to go. In part of the discussion, we tried to get them to explain how it felt. The same as the couple we had last week. They feel that the cells of the body are opening up in moving, in trying to move. It brought more or less to the final conclusion for us that mankind is ready to go. Mankind is ready to be freed from the shackles of physicality. And mankind needs to train itself. They could send the wish to the mother. What about if they wish they could be with the mother? Do we need another system in the bed with the mother for them to arrive? When they came out of the system, we asked them to stand back to back and transfer wishes to the partner. That was more interesting than the whole lot. How they felt love and care for each other and the rest. One interesting point from one couple to the other, being as a passenger without a head unit, sending message to the one which is on the receiving unit, but in the captain's seat, that she could touch him and she was getting excited. Mahatma, he could feel the touch on his face as being caressed. The lower, feeling the emotional, physical soul of the touch. For us, this process is very interesting. For us, this process is part of what we call understanding of the totality. Now we see we have managed to move the soul. We have managed the soul of the physicality. We have understood that we can provide all the facilities. If we do not provide the wishes of the owner of the soul, his desire, what's going to happen? And then we have systems which can be held back, which is our system. We came to a second session of test with one person only. We need to establish the criteria of what I call work, of what we can move. Is not just all the time what we call lovers, partners, and the rest. This time, the test was set in a totally different way. This time, the set was to understand the matter state composition transfer. We placed a cup of water in different positions in the set. Knowledge seeker from Holland, she sat in different positions with the water being moved to different positions on the system. Different ways of connection. The first time was to see if she can tell us what she received. She said, I could taste something. I was swallowing water. She was told that the object is water. Then, as we moved her, in the last session, we moved the lady on a back seat where the water was positioned in the front seat. Came to the position that she could not swallow, so much water was coming in inside the same unit. And she was receiving this taste, called emotion of receiving, actually swallowing it. She was swallowing and swallowing water. But nothing was touched from the volume of the cup. This time, the transition was internal. This gave us a huge insight in what we set out to do, that we can feed our passengers. We can transfer materials they need for improving their physical condition, tiredness. They need all sorts of energies to overcome different conditions. Then we connected a direct line connection, which meant we connected a connection between the two physically. This was worse. The amount of water received was so much. But it was just only held by hand, the connection. And the other end was dipped in the water. Then she was told that what was on the transmission was the water we wanted to see. We invited her back the next day to come back in. This time, object was not the water. We brought in a banana, orange, and a garlic. And we chose the first seat, as it was the day before when she left, and put her through the transition. Banana was the first one. She said she could feel something. I have to tell you, before we start, we switched everything off. There was no system running in the room. So we had to have a zero reference. She says she doesn't feel anything, there's nothing happening. Even the banana was on the flight system. Then we switched. The minute we switched, she says, I can feel something. Then she was told that the system has switched on now. Before, up to now, was nothing. She couldn't explain, but she says, I got something in my mouth. I can feel it. Then we changed to an orange. She explained she has this feeling, tingly feeling, the way when you drink orange juice. Without her knowing, we put the orange and a banana in a flight position. We added the garlic. She said, this is a taste which is not mine. I'm a coffee drinker, but this taste, I don't know what it is. I cannot explain. It is there, I know what it is, but I cannot explain. Don't forget now, you had a banana, you had an orange, and a garlic together. You try to eat that and see what taste and sensation you get. Then we wanted the confirmation of the work of the day before on the water. We took everything off and we replaced it with water without her knowing. And she said, I'm getting water. I'm getting the same emotion, but not as much as yesterday. We gave her a line of connection. She could feel more of it. This was important for us, where we transferred souls and soul of physicality from one unit to another. But this time we transmuted the emotion, the soul of an object. It's the same as the other partner could feel the partner in her lap. What Alex brought to us years ago with the orange and the cup, now we have created, without drinking the water, receiving the emotion of the elements. These are major, major breakthroughs in the world of science. In the future will be used for feeding people in deep space, for feeding disaster zones with food, but changing these enhancement units into satellites. We positioned satellite. We had a hurricane, huge disaster in Caribbean and in East Coast of the United States this week. Thousands and tens of thousands of people have no food, no medicine. You don't need to put a drone to bomb them, to kill them. You position a drone and you feed them, using, understanding the technology. And they take what they want from the process, what the body in essence of the soul will receive. We change the whole mentality of the weapon technology to life technology. And we had the pleasure of having a couple married over 40 years, German speaking, those who by descendant went to Russia and came back, both from the same tribe, but in German speaking. It was one of the most exciting times in the unit, if you could understand the transition. The couple don't speak in English. I think it's yes and a t-shirt. That's the only thing one woman could understand, the lady. So we had to bring in a knowledge seeker to translate inside the room. What we witnessed for the first time was from an outsider of the control system, one of our knowledge seekers who works with us in the center. And I think it was more shock to him, even he was so brave to stand there and watch it, that what was going on in the whole structure. Being witness to one of the most beautiful first stages of transition of humanity into the dimension of the transmutation. We put the gentleman in the control, and we put the wife on the back seat of the system. The lady went through, she's very sensitive to field. She has dimensions and the way she is. She's been with us before. They came in, as I said, many knowledge seekers are coming back again and again, not for themselves, but for us as humanity to add to our knowledge, to complete the system. As we saw with the 4 couples, and the same with the Dutch lady who was with us the day before on that day. Many knowledge seekers are returning to add to the knowledge because they want that change in humanity in the race. The lady in the back works with children, and she could feel emotions with respect to the children, young children. We moved the couple in a different way that the lady moved to the receiver side. Then, in the process of testing, we changed position. We put the husband on the back seat in this position, and she was in the front position. This was one of our final stages of the day, as they had to leave before 3 o'clock. When the gentleman was in the front seat, he said he feels nothing. It's just nothing. He's there, nothing. When he moved to the other side, there's still nothing. He said, I don't feel anything. I'm here, nothing happens. When we moved the lady in the front seat and the gentleman in the back seat, don't forget the back seat is just a normal space. The front seats are fitted with what we call a space unit. As now we know, we switch everything on except the last stage because of food transportation. But we said, let's see what happens with this. The lady, we left for a few minutes and going back. We saw the unit shaking. Clearly, the head unit was in full vibration. Both knowledge seekers and I, we noticed. And I noticed, because I know the system, the soul and the soul of physicality have totally left the physical body. But you have to understand, even left, it still has a connection to the dimension of physicality. That's how we go back to our body when we wake up from a dream, when the soul comes back. When the soul of physicality goes with the body, you see yourself doing things with your mother or grandmother or whatever on the, what do you call it, on the beach or whatever. But when the soul goes, you just get an emotion. When the soul of physicality travels with the soul, that's why you see yourself with other people. You do things. That's where you're involved. In some dreams, you're an observer. That is where your soul is present, not your soul of physicality. Now, with this lady, we saw the shaking of the system. The shaking of the system is something I explained to our team before, because after when I called and I said this, Mr. Keshi already told us that this will happen, right? The soul of physicality. Well, literally, the cells of the body, the blood of the man moves to the other side to start creating the cage for the soul to come in to, in a way, cocoon it. You are coming to a new dimension, which means the physicality is here, but the soul of physicality and the soul of the man and the soul, the fields which will contain the soul of the man when the physicality arrives, were all left. How do we know this? I had to stop, and I had to ask the lady to stop the process. We have to stop. We managed to retrieve the body back in a way. The body was just like a statue, solid, cold ice, as the what we call the blood has left. There was no heat in it. When she came back, we had to wait for her. It's like when somebody wakes you up in your dream in bed to get everything back, the soul of physicality back. And then we had to literally pull her out of the unit. She was very emotional. She wanted to be on the other side. And in the first instance, when he was in the front, she could tell us she was behind him. She was hugging him from the back. This explained a lot of things in their private relationship to us because we know other things. And in the same system was the same. She was there to sit on his lap, to hug him. But what happened during the shaking and the transition of the body, it's like when you go through a sound barrier, you see the vibration, and then you see it with astronauts in their body, happens in their physical condition. When you go through the transmutation of the physicality into the soul, you get the same kind of vibration. This is fields interaction, and that's why we could see the vibrations. But the most interesting part was the husband does not see. It's a dark room. He went through physical vibration to receive the body. He explained to us that his lap, his legs will start shaking. The same shaking as was in the other machine in receiving the physicality. When we stopped and he came out, he explained to us that I had that shake in the chair, front chair, when I was there, but I thought it was nothing. But the interesting part for us was that if we would have not stopped the process, the lady would have transmuted fully. She had no inhibition to move, no restriction. We heard with a couple before, they had that little fear of not returning back or something goes wrong. This lady had no fear. She left the body behind. This is what happened at the point of death. When we leave the body behind, everything else goes. We have the confirmation of it. As I asked our team, we asked the Austrian government to appoint a board inspector into the Keshe Foundation Center, as we have already, they know the flight to start off. Which means when we start bringing people from overseas, we become a border control checkpoint. Those of you who bought the mobile transportation will go through this very soon. But we changed the seat. We asked the husband to go in the front seat and the lady in the back seat. And then we asked the lady, try to get back, and husband tried to get to her. The transition was beautiful because she explained to us, this is explained to us live while they are going through the process. We sit outside, it's like a control system from outside. They tell us what's happening inside the room, inside their soul, inside their physicality. She said she sees herself underneath him, below the chair. And he's on top, on the chair. But the beauty of this shows that mankind has entered a new dimension. We have asked her, through our team, to make a recording of the session and send it to us. It's in German. Hopefully you receive it in English in the next few days, and then you can listen to it. If you look at it, we have managed to bring the soul of physicality and the condition of the soul of the movement of the soul of physicality, which is the blood system of the man, to control, to leave just the body behind. Because this lady was not so interested to take the body is old and fragile, but she wanted to be with a man who she loved from childhood. They met, they played, they grew up from age of 2 and 5 together, and in their 50s and 60s, married for 40 odd years, they're still together. Their love has not died. Physicality was not the matter. But what is interesting is we have seen all the stages of life of the man in this machine in the past week. Even when the man discards the physicality behind, just to be with the lover. But the beauty is, because we have the system, we cannot create death, because we can always call back the soul. This is how, when you go into space, you come back to Earth, because you are connected to the soul of this planet. You become a refugee of Earth when the Earth blows up in pieces, somewhere in the future. You become homeless. But as long as the home is Earth, you always can come back home. For us, understanding this process was very important. So going through the process was very important to understand where and how the next generation of our systems will be done. Where we now implement a dual transition, where we now, in the new system, create a dual condition of environment, where you can go back to Mars in the soul of the man, the soul of physicality of the man, and how you manifest yourself in the other system when you arrive to Mars. You can see your future. You can see how the condition be. Do you like to have 20 legs and 4 arms? No, I'm not going to Mars. Can you change the system to a star number so and so in such a galaxy? Or draw and throw the dice and see what galaxy I'm going to end up, which planet, which position in the universe. I want to try something new. I'm going on a blind date with the space. Maybe if the soul is strong enough, your blind date ends you up within the soul of the Creator. If your soul is at that level of strength of devotion. We did something very special. This week, now we have the control of the system. With a lady who came from Holland, I explained to her in a very simple way. We wanted to test the transmutation, mobile transmutation, but within the system. What we did was very interesting. And I wait for some sort of confirmation of it or change of it. We observe it within the next years and months to see what happens. I asked our Iranian team to send me the picture of the 2 people who are creating, ordering, and setting up the function of all killing within the past few days in Iran. I received the picture of the man who gives the orders. I explained to our Dutch knowledge seeker. I placed the picture within the frame of the mobile phone. I placed the mobile phone on the transfer unit in the front seat when our knowledge seeker was sitting in the back. I didn't say anything. I said, "How do you feel?" She said, "Pain inside." I said, "You're receiving the soul of a man who kills thousands of people a day in Iran." She felt the pressure and pain. I said, "Our problem is not to punish, it's to elevate." And she reversed the condition in giving to the soul, to elevating it. She said, "I feel better. Now I can give, I can bring that position." We sit and watch how this single knowledge seeker has changed the life of the most famous man in Iran today. See how he will change. Then we transmuted the same man into the waters of the space of the earth. There is a reason for this, which means we wrap the way we connect our passengers through system from the back to the front and the rest. We connected the soul of the man to the water, purity of time and space on this planet. And we will watch how this man will change. We wanted to touch the life of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, but unfortunately he's dead. He's not there for us to reach. We asked for the pictures of him when he was alive. He had carried being the ruler, and we could reach it. So we had a lot of confirmation that through the system, we have the knowledge, we have the accessibility to know who's alive, who's dead. If you're looking for a lost one in a desert, is he alive or is he dead? Now we can bring in, we can see the transition. Are you talking to the soul, or are you have access to the physicality and soul of physicality? But a lot of things in the life of mankind will change in the coming time. When we set up the mobile communication, when we ask your satellites to join us, when we open the Zooms on satellite members of the Keshe Foundation, you all be there to elevate the soul of that murderer. And we see how fast he will change, how fast we change the world leaders as a calm, whatever they do which is wrong, to how they see themselves to change right. In a way, we bring the true life of a Nobel Prize. If you all know the life of the Nobel, why the Nobel Prize came in, and the history behind it. Man was creating dynamites to kill, finding out what they think about him afterwards, he changed and created something for people to remember him and created Nobel Prize. But the nobility about this is very simple. Now we can reach any soul. Now, in the coming days, we'll bring the world leaders to answer in these 4 seats. To answer to their souls, not to us. To be elevated by us. This is why I keep on pushing. Please sign in as a satellites, get it completed. Sign in as mobile, come into the center. You cannot imagine what is to come. It's no good all becoming satellite. Make your way into the system. We saw how the lady who did not speak speaks suddenly fluently English. It was very strange because all the time they were here before and the beginning of the trial, this week, it had to be translated to her. And then when she comes, she just speaks English better than the other partner. I said, hold on, couldn't you speak English till now? And she was more comfortable to speak in English, as you see, than German. So you leave the soul of your language in the systems. In the coming days, as systems come into operation, we see the changes. Now, we have Keshe Foundation as a space company in 4 nations. We are in China. Keshe, the space company, is fully registered as an Iranian first independent space company. We have a Keshe Space in Austria, and we are in Arizona as a Keshe Space Institute. We transfer knowledge amongst the 4 nations as part of the assets of the Keshe Foundation and knowledge seekers, which means no government can stop us sharing knowledge and technology. It's internal transfer. We don't need limitations and rules and regulations of man and intellectual rights, as the right belongs to all of us. We developed it together as one nation. Will it be interesting in the coming days, we ask you, told you, we'll bring in the Pope, and we listen to his confession in the dome of the Universal Council meeting and within the Universal Enhancement Unit. We'll bring in the soul of the Pope and the soul of the Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran and other religious leaders into the room, and they have to, and it's the responsibility of Universal Council to question, to elevate, and not to punish. The religious leaders become answerable to the soul of the man in the dimension of Universal Council. You will understand soon how we govern as one nation, as one planet, as one race. It'll be interesting to understand how you, as knowledge seekers, will decide the future of humanity. This is not a dream anymore. The reality is what is set in the system. We've done many other tests, which gradually will reveal. Knowledge seekers don't even know why they do certain things, but it's a part of the plan of the bigger structure or confirmation of part of the work of the system. The members of Universal Council, be prepared to meet the world leaders on the level of the soul. As you meet and as we invite you in, as we thus set the systems ready to accept the world leaders to elevate their souls. It's your responsibility. And then it's your responsibility to convey this message through the satellite members of the Keshe Foundation across this planet. This is the right given to you as so. If we brought a knowledge seeker in the room this week, and she could feel the pain of one of the biggest murderers of the time, of the present time, and she could elevate him, she could raise his level of soul, we'll watch to see what happened. Only 2 people in Keshe Foundation know who he is. And we monitor him. Would he take his life? Would he leave the dimension of physicality now that it's elevated? Would we see change in the dimensions of the running of the Revolutionary Guard in Iran? Would we see the change in Sabah? Would we see the change in the dimension of peace? When we bring Putin, and when we bring Pope, and when we bring the Italian Prime Minister into the room, what would be the expectation of the Universal Council? Would you, as member of the Universal Council, elevate all to the same level? Or would you, because she's Italian, the Italian Universal Council member would have more interest to do something with it? But it shouldn't be, all should be equal. We have started to run what we call the beginning structure of the one world community, and these teachings are part of it. That's why we are carrying you through. It's not a dictatorship, it's collective confirmation of what we call equality of the physicality of man, as man is equal in soul. There are other tests which are going on in the center. Some, even today, the knowledge seekers who come and go are not aware of what's going on. If you listen into the first tape, when the 2 ladies speak, you hear a lot of noise in the back. Every week, large number of people come to the center, and the noise you will hear in the background is presentation of the technology on the top floor to the other knowledge seekers who come from around the world to see the change in the exhibition center. It is our responsibility to push this, what we call change through, with technology, with understanding it. But the most important thing is that us as knowledge seekers have to understand what we are doing to ourselves before we try to put it out. That's why this teaching goes on the way it is. We told you how to make magravs, as I said, how to make this and that, how to make gases. You cannot make these systems, what we developed. But we can teach you how, instead of using magrav, the energy of, to use the energy of your soul, understanding how it is, and become that magrav to give free energy to every man and woman in the level of the energy of the soul of the man, elevation of the soul, which is tapped into universal energy, which means every man has the capability to feed the whole of planet in one go, if he's open in that sense of doing. Never have the fear of what might happen. Have a joy that your, what we call positive work, brings that positive change. We are short by more than 300, 400 mobile people to join us. We are short by a large number of the satellites. These positions has to be filled by knowledge seekers that we can carry on the work we are doing. This week, we asked the, what we call Universal Council from Russia to step down due to the fact that he did not declare to the Keshe Foundation that he's a member of what we call the Knights. We don't work with no society and structure, and I thank you for immediately stepping down. We need to understand that we do not see need to use the structures of the Keshe Foundation for one's, what we call personal belief, but it has to be totality to be believed. It's important for all of us to understand that change, that ultimate goal of change is upon us. And none of you know what's going to come to you, what's going to hit you, what's going to be when you go through transmutation, when you go through mobile transition, and when you're in the center. We need large number of you to complete the process in minutes. Those of you who've been here before are a better candidate to come in for the second cycles because your soul is already stepped up into it. It's already activated. And it allows us, as we saw with the couples who have been here this week in the transmutation, because it's not there to set up, it's there ready, what we call prime, to go through the next step. So, in a way, the knowledge seeker standing next to me most probably felt in so many dimensions of maybe what I've been told, what I've seen now is in front of me for the first time. We allowed somebody from outside to look inside. Even outside is one of us, he works with us on a very strong base. And this brings us the change. This brings us the position to know that we have entered the cycle of what we call transmutation. And if you want to leave the body behind, please don't leave it in my system. I need it for the next person. Take it and leave it somewhere else, because you have that capability too. If you see the beauty of what we call the world of the creation in the dimension of the soul of the man and soul of physicality, and you see your physicality as a burden, you're allowed to leave it behind. But don't leave it, as I said, go back to the past teachings. Don't leave your bodies behind. You're not body collectors. And we saw this week. Everything I've taught you in the past, everything which is taught, will come to be seen when it comes to completion of reality. We are ready to receive the next cycle of the knowledge seekers. We are ready to go through the next transmutation. We are ready to bring man to become part of the universal community. But this time, not as subordinate, but equal, plus the knowledge of the creation, which has never been shared in any point in the universe. Is a gift. In a way, man become the messenger of peace across this planet and across the universe through the soul of the man. We've shown it, you will see it. As the two ladies said, they could feel each other. Now you can imagine, you can feel the Creator if you are of the higher order of strength to be in that position. Then you know what it means when I hug and hold me through. It's the dimension of the devotion. It's the dimension of serving and servitude. Is attachment, as we heard from the couple, they just a little bit were afraid of detaching and love. Where the lady yesterday had no fear of detachment. She could leave the physicality as the love of the partner in the other system was so high, and he could feel her arrival, the dimension of physicality in his body. We go through a break and we'll come back and we'll see what humanity would like to do with himself. As now we enter the final phases of what we call transmutation and open the universal community to mankind. We take us through a break and we come back.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kesh. This is the 453rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, October 6, 2022. Take a few minutes for some commercial messages and be back.